Star Wars Ahsoka is set to be one of the most successful Disney Plus shows to date, but there is a bit of a problem. With the current strikes, there is no press for the show. Rosario Dawson, Natasha Liu Bordizzo, Mary Elizabeth Winstead, they're not doing any more press. And as a result, according to third-party analytics reported by Parrot Analytics, demand is not going to surpass that of Mando. Parrot assessed data concerning the level of demand for television and streaming shows across a rolling 30-day period. This includes social media, what's trending on various sites, and so on and so forth. And over the last 30 days, demand for Ahsoka was in the top 2.7%, whereas Mando was in the top 0.2% of all shows in the US market. And this has caused several outlets to wonder, with the lack of marketing, with what's going on at the moment, is the Ahsoka show going to fall short in terms of viewership and demand of Mando's first 3 seasons? No one can tell for sure at this point. There's also the fact that compared to other shows, Ahsoka is pretty niche and doesn't appeal to casuals as much as diehards. It helps to have seen the animated shows, which isn't everyone, and I'm not saying that doesn't mean others aren't going to watch it. This is just what some outlets are saying. Ahsoka does promise to be another massive hit on Disney Plus, and I guess it is splitting hairs and being very nitpicky to compare it to The Mandalorian, because even if it doesn't meet those standards, doesn't mean it's not going to be a very successful show. I'm sure it will be. I guess the argument I've seen from a more skeptical lens is that other shows like Mando Season 1, Book of Boba Fett and Kenobi were more accessible to the wider Star Wars fandom, the wider audiences, not those who follow every single show, cartoon, development, that kind of thing. But Dave did say he is trying to make it as accessible as possible, so it's very early days to tell, and I'm going to keep a very positive mindset. Parrot Analytics gave the hype for Ahsoka, that means where it's trending on Twitter and sites like that, a score of 11.6 times more popular than the average show. It got a ranking of outstanding, so it still is good news. Share your thoughts on this down below. In other Star Wars news, and before we move on to The Mandalorian, Timothy Olyphant says he preferred working with Jawas than he did working with Grogu, and as you guys know based on my intro, if there's ever news regarding Jawas, I'm gonna cover it. Timothy Olyphant said this: "I don't think it occurred to me how special it was," and he's talking about working on Mando and Boba. "I had a little bit of a pinch myself moment where I realised, oh my god, this is my whole childhood, and quite possibly why I'm an actor." And Dave Filoni reminded him of how rare it is in Star Wars for an actor to work with Jawas, which is quite ironic because we've seen quite a lot of Tatooine in recent shows. I think they're fantastic. And did you know that episode 1 of my fan-made fan film animated series Utini is out now on Patreon, link down below. And so now, my dear friends, I think it's pretty safe to say that when it comes to what Disney has done with Star Wars and Lucasfilm, The Mandalorian is one of the most successful products. Of course, we talk about Rogue One, we talk about Andor, but The Mandalorian was the flagship Disney Plus show, a phrase we've heard over and over again, and the merch has been very expansive, especially regarding Grogu. But as a story, regardless of what you think of Season 3, it's been pretty amazing. Right from the get-go, we were introduced to this faceless, helmeted bounty hunter, Din Djarin, who was very action figure-like, and then it developed into a story of found family with Grogu. A story of evolving characters, of heart, and of father and son, influenced by Paper Moon. But there was always this degree of remarkable action intertwined into all of that. And so that's why ever since 2019, fans have been saying, are we ever going to get a Mandalorian video game? Is that something that Lucasfilm Games is going to collaborate with another studio on? Could we get a Mandalorian open world game? Or even a game that just follows the missions of the first 3 seasons? And maybe the Book of Boba Fett too? Well, it turns out, the technical UI designer at EA has decided to make a mock-up for games that don't exist. And one of the latest ones that's been making the rounds with 21,000 likes, at least at the time of making this video it probably has more, is The Mandalorian, The Way of the Warrior. A fantastic title. And here's what Gav Makes Games says: back at it again, making mock-ups for games that don't exist. Well, I've got to say, Gav, this one should. And here's some designs he's made. Some UX and UI art and design practice. These are incredible, guys. So the first screen he shares, you have Din Djarin on the right, and you have all these customizations, various helmets, and what would be so amazing about these helmets is that you could do callbacks to Knights of the Old Republic, so you can bring in elements from Star Wars Legends, as well as canon. Maybe have a Shae Vizsla helmet, that kind of customization, but I can definitely imagine this for next-gen consoles. I think fans would go crazy for this. Because The Mandalorian, by its principle, if you look at the first 2 seasons especially, very much like a video game. Missions, a ton of action, and a lot of surprises, which makes it one of the best Star Wars TV shows to date. Not to mention it could be a first-person shooter. In the second photo, we have Din Djarin, with a few upgrades, on a new planet called Zeronia, and you can tell there's influence here by Jedi Fallen Order, Jedi Survivor, maybe some Star Wars Outlaws in there. I think that's what they were going for. And could you imagine the choice of weapons? Imagine being able to play as Cara Dune, or Migs, or Boba Fett. The possibilities are truly endless for a game like this. And as I say, it could follow the seasons 1 to 3 format, going through those episodes, but you're in control. You can do side missions, in the first part of the game take some jobs from Grief Karga or Navarro, and kind of explore the galaxy in that way. Alternatively, do open world, explore multiple planets, or some kind of variant. And then we have the load screen, continue new game, load game settings and credits. And then in the final photo we have Din Djarin, again with some modifications. The graphics are incredible on this. I know these are just mock-ups, it's not a real game, but you can change the camera settings, the shutter speed, the effects, the environment. And the forest in the background is very reminiscent of Chapter 4, The Sanctuary, the planet of Sorgan. I truly am amazed. We're 3 seasons into this show, with the popularity it's amassed. We've had no video game based on it. To me, that seems like a hugely missed opportunity. I reckon it's a case of when and not if. Unless, of course, Disney don't like money, which I very much doubt, because this would sell a lot of games. The Mandalorian's become a pop culture sensation. I would go as far as saying The Mandalorian has carried the Star Wars brand for years, since the last film in 2019, because aside from Fallen Order, which was huge, I know the Kenobi show did numbers, so did Book of Boba Fett finale. But The Mandalorian has that imprint now in pop culture. Everyone goes crazy for Din and Grogu, and I'm so excited for season 4, but I'd love to play a game like this. I would stream it with you guys. I don't usually do that for video games. I don't do that kind of thing on the channel, but I'm such a big fan of The Mandalorian, this would be the exception. And if they didn't want to explore too much of Din's backstory in live action, they could continue those season 1 flashbacks in this game as cutscenes. Same with the rest of Grogu's flashback, although I do suspect that's going to be finished in season 4, where Kelleran Beck took him. And think about the possibility of leading a Mandalorian army campaign, either as Paz Vizsla or Din or Bo-Katan, maybe Sabine, against pirates or other enemies. In a way, it feels like a missed opportunity that Star Wars Outlaws is doing the whole smuggler underworld thing. That could have been achieved in a Mandalorian game. But what do you guys think? Share your thoughts on this and everything we spoke about in the comments down below. If you enjoyed this video, please be sure to give me a big fat thumbs up, subscribe if you're new, and if you want more videos not found here on YouTube, then click the link down there in the description, and I'll see you in the next one. May the Force be with you, always.